I don't know what's wrong with me. I sat down to play Crimson Desert. I had a plan. Normal plan. Go here, do this, figure out that system, push into that region. Clean, simple. I'm a grown man, I can follow a plan. 7 minutes later, I was climbing a cliff towards something I couldn't even identify yet. Not because the game told me to. There was no marker, no quest, no notification. Something just looked weird on the horizon, and my brain went, "What is that?" And my hands just went, without asking me, without checking the plan. Gone. 40 minutes later, I'm somewhere completely different, I have no idea how I got there, and I feel weirdly good about it. Next session, new plan, lost it in 5 minutes. Session after that, same thing, every single time. And here's what started eating at me. It wasn't frustrating, that's the part that made no sense. I had a goal, the game kept pulling me away from it, and I didn't care. I felt like something was happening, like I was actually somewhere doing something that mattered, even though what I was actually doing was wandering around following vibes like an idiot. So I started paying attention, really paying attention. And what I found is that Crimson Desert is doing something to your brain that is so specific and so deliberate that once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And now I need to talk about it, so here we are. First thing you need to understand, you have been trained, not metaphorically, literally trained, like a dog. Thousands of hours of open world games have wired you to behave in a one very specific way the moment you boot one up. You open the map, you find the icons, you plot the route, you move, you complete, you find the next icons, you repeat. That's it. That's what modern open world games turned you into. A little machine that follows markers and feels good about it. And the worst part is you don't even notice because it works. The dopamine when you clear an icon is real. The satisfaction of watching a map fill in is real. I have genuinely stayed up till 3 AM clearing Ubisoft towers, feeling like I was doing something important with my life. We are all broken in this exact same way and nobody talks about it. But here's what that loop quietly does to you over time. You stop being in the world, you start processing it. The landscape becomes dead air between objectives. The cool stuff without markers becomes invisible because your brain learns to filter it out. You're not exploring anymore. The game is a spreadsheet, you are the guy filling it in. And then Crimson Desert shows up and goes, "What if no spreadsheet?" And your brain just stops working. Because you open the map and the icons aren't dense enough. The signal isn't clean. The game isn't telling you exactly where to go with the confidence you're used to. So you close the map, open it again, squint at it like that's going to help, close it again. You hover, you wait for instructions that don't come, and then something catches your eye. And that's when the game has you, because that moment where you gave up waiting and just went toward the interesting thing, that's not the tutorial, that's the whole point. You just accidentally started playing Crimson Desert correctly because the correct way to play it broke your brain until instinct took over. The game killed your habit in about 30 seconds flat and replaced it with something that's been in you since way before you ever touched a video game. So what is it actually doing? Because I couldn't leave this alone. Most open world games distract you with content, icons, quests, collectibles. You get pulled sideways, sure, but you get pulled sideways to another task. You're still in task mode. The checklist didn't go anywhere. It just got a new item and you're already calculating how long it'll take. Crimson Desert doesn't give you a new task. It throws a question at you and walks away. What is that building over there? Why are those birds just circling? Right there, specifically there. Why did that sound change direction? Where the hell does this road go to? No marker, no quest log update, no little pop-up saying, "Hey, point of interest, go take a look." Just a question sitting there, doing nothing, waiting. And your brain cannot handle this. I'm not being dramatic. Your brain is physically actually uncomfortable with unanswered questions. It's not a personality thing, it's not a focus thing, it's hardware. Your brain treats open loops like an itch you cannot reach, and it will keep poking at it in the background whether you want it or not. So the game isn't pulling you with rewards, it's pulling you with itch. And here's the really mean part. Sometimes you follow the question, you climb the hill, you find the building, you look around, and there's absolutely nothing. No chest, no NPC, no satisfying payoff. Just a building, crumbling, old, sitting there like it's been there for 1,000 years and it doesn't owe you anything. Does the itch go away? No, it actually gets worse, because now you're wondering, did I miss something? Is there a way in I didn't find? Does this connect to that thing I saw 2 hours ago? What is this place and why does it exist? The question didn't close. It had kids. You came for one answer and left with 5 new questions, and somehow that feels more satisfying than the loot drop. That should not work, that is insane, and yet it does. Okay, but the questions are only one piece of this, because the game is also getting into your head through something you'd never think to guard against. Sound. You're moving, making progress, minding your business, and then something shifts in the audio. Not a dramatic music, not an alert. Just the texture of the world sounds slightly different. Something moved in the frequency, the wind changed its mind. And you slow down. Before you decided to slow down, your body just did it on its own. Eyes started scanning, you're alert suddenly, and you don't even know why yet. Here's what's happening. Human hearing is basically a threat detection system that has been running non-stop since before we had language. We evolved to catch changes in ambient sound because for most of human history, something changing in the soundscape meant something was about to try to eat you. That system is still fully operational in every single person watching this video. By the time your brain consciously goes, that sounded different, your hands have already slowed, you're already looking, the game has already hijacked your full attention, and you handed it over before you had any chance to decide whether to. That's not sound design, that's someone figuring out they can skip your thinking brain entirely and talk straight to the panicking animal that lives underneath it. I realized this while playing at like midnight, and it genuinely freaked me out a little. Love the game, slightly scared of the people who made it. And then the terrain. Every single ridgeline in Crimson Desert looks like it goes somewhere. Every hill you climb resets your view. Every narrow path feels like it was made on purpose. Every slope looks almost climbable if you just find the right angle and commit to it. The whole landscape is built like it's making promises. And when you crest a hill and the horizon opens up and you realize there's a whole other region you hadn't seen yet, that feeling, after hours of playing, after you think you've started to understand the shape of things, that feeling of the world being bigger than you thought, again, still, it doesn't wear off. It just keeps working, every time. I don't understand how. And sometimes the reveal is incredible, and sometimes it's just more terrain. Another ridge in the distance suggesting something on the other side of it. And that should feel like nothing, but it doesn't, because the thing it gives you isn't, wow, cool view. The thing it gives you is, there's more. There is always more. Most open worlds shrink as you explore them. You fill in the map, you learn the layout, the whole thing gets smaller in your head. Crimson Desert keeps getting bigger the more time you spend in it. The more you know it, the more you realize how much of it you don't know. I don't know how they did it. I'm actually asking someone, please explain this to me. Because I've been getting lied to by hills for hours and I keep falling for it and I'm not even mad. Let me tell you about the optimizer brain, because this is personal. There is a mode I slip into. I stop playing and I start solving. I'm not here for the experience, I'm here to find the fastest path and execute it. I'm routing, I'm managing resources. I'm treating every decision like a math problem that needs to be solved before I'm allowed to enjoy anything. It's a disease. I know it's a disease. I have made peace with having this disease. Here's exactly what happens. You find the optimal path, you start moving. The spreadsheet is running. You're in the zone, you're making progress, everything is going according to the plan you definitely wrote down in your head. And something appears off to the side. Not blocking you, not demanding anything, it's just there. Some structure that shouldn't be there given the terrain. A sound from a direction that doesn't make sense. Something moving that doesn't match the environment. And the calculation starts. Okay, if I go check that out, what, 5 minutes? Probably nothing, low chance of anything important. But that shape is architecturally weird, and why would you build something there of all places? And is that a path going up the side of... Wait, what's making that sound? And just like that, you have been hooked and you're already walking towards it. The calculation didn't finish, the curiosity just grabbed the wheel and went without waiting for the math to resolve. And the optimizer part of your brain is standing there going, we hadn't finished, we had a plan. And you're 50 meters off the optimal path and not looking back. This happened to me constantly. I started keeping count at some point. Stopped counting when it got embarrassing. The curiosity wins every single time. It's not close, and the thing that really gets under my skin is the placement. The interesting stuff always shows up right at the moment you start to feel like you figured out the rhythm. Right when the autopilot lows. Right before the session becomes routine and your brain checks out. Someone at Pearl Abyss sat in a room and thought very hard about the exact moment a player's attention goes soft, and then put something there, every time across the whole game. I hate it, I love it, I hate how much I love it. But something weird happened after a few weeks of this. I stopped opening the map. Not as a decision, the habit just quietly died and I didn't notice until it was already gone. And when I caught myself navigating purely by feel and landmark memory, I tried to figure out when that started. I think what happened is opening the map started to feel like it would ruin something, because the map is the overhead view, the moment where you float up above the world and look at it like a diagram. And the second you're in that view you remember, oh right, this is a game. And Crimson Desert had been working really hard to make me forget that. Opening the map felt like breaking a spell. So instead I was navigating by feel, by memory, by the accumulated sense of how things connected that I'd built up over hours of just being in the world without looking at it from above. And here is the part that actually got me. That's how you know a real place. Not by studying a map of it. By being inside it enough times that the map becomes unnecessary because it's already in your body somewhere. I knew this world, not because I'd read about it or looked at it from above, because I'd been in it. That's not a game world I'd completed, that was a place I knew. I didn't expect that, I really didn't expect that. I want to be real about the people who bounced off this game, because I get it and I'm not going to be that guy. The friction is real. Crimson Desert does not care even a little bit about making you feel productive. The icon density isn't there, the constant feedback loop isn't there, the clean signal of go here, this is the thing, good job, not there. You're not misreading the game, it actually isn't doing those things. And if you've spent years building your whole relationship with games on that loop, which is a totally reasonable way to build a relationship with games, because that loop is fun, it works, people love it, then Crimson Desert is going to feel like a gap. Like a game that forgot to finish itself. Like someone shipped the open world and forgot to put the game inside it. And you're going to bounce, and you're going to tell people that the game is unfocused. And you're not wrong, technically. It is unfocused by every normal standard. But here's the thing that I cannot explain without sounding insufferable. So I'm just going to say it and accept the consequences. There's something on the other side of that friction that most games cannot give you. Something that hits different. Something that requires you to actually stop waiting for the game to tell you what's interesting and just go toward the thing that's actually interesting to you. And the gap between those two things, between waiting for instructions and following your own curiosity, that gap is the whole game. Getting through that gap is the game. And a lot of people bounce before they get through it because it is uncomfortable, and then nobody warns you that the discomfort is only temporary. But the people who get through it, they have the time of their life. Here is something to think about. We spend so much energy protecting our attention these days. Apps to block apps, screen time limits, doom scrolling guilt. Everyone's got a story about picking up their phone, meaning to check one thing and losing an hour to a black hole of content that they don't even remember now. And the conversation is always the same. Your attention is being stolen. You're being manipulated. You need to reclaim your focus. And then there's Crimson Desert, doing on the surface the exact same thing, grabbing your attention constantly, pulling you in directions you didn't choose, eating hours you can't cleanly account for afterward. But when you close the game, it doesn't feel like doom scrolling, it feels like the opposite. And I've been trying to figure out why, because I think this is actually important. When your phone eats your attention, it's replacing whatever you were doing with noise. You go in for one thing and come out having done nothing, felt nothing, just burned time in a way that leaves you vaguely hollow and a little pissed at yourself. It took from you. Crimson Desert eats your attention and leaves you fooled, like you went somewhere, like something happened, like the time had weight, even though you can't write up a clean log of what you accomplished. You know that feeling after a long walk somewhere interesting? You didn't do anything, you just walked, looked at stuff, let your brain do whatever it wanted, but you come back settled, like something got sorted out somewhere in the background. That's a Crimson Desert session without a plan. That's exactly what it feels like. And the difference between that and doom scrolling is so big, so obvious when you feel them back to back, that I'm kind of baffled we use the same word, distraction, for both of them. They are not the same thing, they're not even close to the same thing. One of them takes from you, the other one is actually going somewhere. Now let me tell you when I officially lost the plot completely. One night I logged in and I just didn't make a plan. Didn't forget to, just didn't. Loaded in and started moving in whatever direction felt interesting before my brain had time to generate an agenda. And that session was the best one I'd had, by a lot. I ended up in a part of the world I've never seen, through a chain of decisions I couldn't have predicted from the start. One weird shape led to one sound, led to one ridge, led somewhere I wasn't expecting. 2 hours, no objectives completed, zero progress by any normal metric. I thought about it the next day, and the day after, and I'm talking about it now. And that made me realize something about why the no plan sessions always hit hardest. When you have a plan, the world narrows. Everything you see becomes either useful to the plan or noise. Your attention gets selective, the stuff that doesn't match the objective becomes invisible. You move through the world like you're reading a document, skipping everything that isn't relevant. When you have no plan, everything is relevant. Every sound, every shape, every ridge, everything is a candidate. You're fully open, and in that state the world gets loud. It gets real. Things that would have been a background noise are suddenly the main thing. Crimson Desert is built entirely for that state. Every single thing the game does, the sounds, the terrain, the questions, the way interesting stuff happens just off your path, all of it works when you're open to it. And you only get open when you actually kill the plan. So the game quietly, across weeks of sessions, killed the plan for me. I didn't notice until it was already dead. I don't have a highlight reel from this game. I keep trying to build one in my head. Okay, the best moment was... and I genuinely cannot finish the sentence. There's no peak, no incredible set piece, no story moment that hit it different. Nothing I can clip and post and say, this right here, this is why. But what I have is texture. This thick accumulated feeling of a world I was actually inside for a while. One that had its own thing going, one that wasn't organized around me. Questions I followed that went somewhere. Questions I followed that went nowhere. Sounds that stopped me dead. Hills that lied to me about what was on the other side. Hours I can't fully account for that I know meant something because they're still sitting in the back of my head weeks later. Most games leave impressions through peaks, the best moment, the incredible fight, the twist. You remember the spike. Crimson Desert didn't give me peaks, it gave me a long, sustained feeling of being somewhere real, of being in a world that was bigger than me and I didn't particularly care about my schedule. And that feeling didn't fade the way Spike memories fade. It just sits there, warm, unresolved, like there's still more to find and I just haven't gone back yet. I didn't know games could do that. I genuinely didn't know that was something games were allowed to do. So here's where I landed after thinking about this for way too long. Crimson Desert is messing with you, completely on purpose, with a level of craft and intent behind it that I find kind of disturbing when I look at it directly. The sound that shifts before your conscious brain catches up, the terrain that keeps promising something just past your current view, the questions it plants and never fully pays off, the interesting things that appear at exactly the moment your brain was about to check out and start running on autopilot. None of that is random, none of it is sloppy, none of it is a design problem they haven't gotten around to fixing. That is the design, that is the whole thing. The game is not broken, the game is doing exactly what it was built to do. And what it was built to do is take your plan, the little organized efficient agenda you showed up with, and slowly, patiently, piece by piece, destroy it. Not through bad design, through better design than you expected. Most games want you to feel productive. They engineer the dopamine hit of forward progress and they deliver it reliably and everyone goes home happy. Crimson Desert wants something different from you. It wants you to forget that progress was ever the point. It wants you moving without an agenda, curious without a destination, following sound and shapes and questions through a world that keeps being bigger than your understanding of it. And if it gets you, if you let it get you, you'll stop caring about the plan. You'll just go toward the thing on the hill, and then whatever is past the thing on the hill, and then whatever you can hear and see from there.